Speaking of Microsoft, I don't know if, well, this might have happened when I was out for a couple weeks. I don't know if you guys talked about it back then. I don't think I have been around for it, but the news came out a couple months ago that AT&T is looking to sell off Warner Brothers gaming division.
Yep.
Did you guys go through that?
We did a little bit, yeah.
Also, I had completely missed the fact that fucking AT&T owns all that stuff now.
Yeah.
I guess as we march toward our inevitable conclusion of three corporations owning everything, they had acquired all of Time Warner at some point in the last couple of years. I guess they have got tremendous amounts of debt they are trying to pay down, and that they would be looking to offload WB Games as a way to pay some of that down. But anyway, the news has come out in the last couple of days on a site called The Information, which I was not familiar with, but
I've seen it around in kind of a financial
like
sense,
I guess. It seems to have credibility in that world. The story's behind a paywall, so I couldn't read the whole thing, but the information is basically out there that Microsoft is said to be perhaps the primary interested buyer in that transaction. That they are looking to potentially pick up Warner Brothers.
What does that get them?
So
that's the question. Because if you think about WB Games as a unit, you've got NetherRealm, you've got
you're not going to get Mortal Kombat in that. You're going to get Batman.
So you're not going to get Batman, but I bet you get Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Because think about it, like if you're just selling the game developer, the divisions, like if they sold NetherRealm but didn't say here's the Mortal Kombat IP, what
are you really buying there?
What are you really buying? Yeah. Like a very experienced team that makes fighting games, all their stuff. Are you going to go to them and say like, hey, guess what? We own the rights to Tao Feng, so you can make a Tao Feng 2. Let's get Tobias back in here. Bring the team back. It just doesn't make sense to do that. So all the speculation has been around the IP, I think, on this stuff.
Because they do license so much of that.
Yeah, it's like Lego, Batman.
Obviously, Warner's not going to sell Batman to whoever buys the game division. They're over there making movies, all this other stuff. Like
they might get those Lego games. Now that I'm thinking about it, because that's like I feel like that's something you could swoop up on and just like bring that over. That's easier than DC.
Yeah, but because that's already a licensing deal. So the idea would be like maybe the buyer gets a long-term license to use those properties in games, be it like Harry Potter or Batman or Suicide Squad or whatever, the stuff that's not like game first. And I feel like the only common sense way I can see to structure that deal would be anything that is deemed to be gaming IP first and foremost goes in that transaction. So that would be, I guess that would be like Mortal Kombat. Like what else does Warner?
Right. Scribblenauts.
Scribblenauts is the only other franchise this CNBC story.
And with Scribblenauts, you've got everything. You just type it in.
That's right.
But also you theoretically have, assuming they didn't already just sell all this stuff on the low, but like you probably get a ton of Midway IP.
Oh.
Or in theory you could. I mean, maybe it doesn't come up in the sale or whatever, but I feel like
that's not licensed.
So that's
God, I don't know where to start with that one.
Yeah,
Dr. Mudo, that
NFL Blitz.
So
NFL Blitz probably got dealt to EA along with NBA Jam because they put out. The NBA Jam name changed hands in a bunch of weird ways prior to that when Acclaim stole it, or there's a bunch of weird shit there. So, but NFL Blitz, EA, I want to say EA got the rights to use that, and bought that IP out from under that. But
I bet they'd be getting the lucrative This Is Vegas IP.
Yeah, This Is Vegas APB. So Midway bought Atari Games, the arcade side of Atari. So that would be
they have like
Boy,
Robotron.
Robotron is that? Yeah,
Robotron. Battle
Black
Royale.
Knight Pinball.
Okay. Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter was them for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Spy Hunter roguelike.
Yeah. So there's a theoretical ton of Midway IP that is languishing.
Yeah.
That I would assume if you were buying the gaming division, you would include that as part of the deal. Because it doesn't do Warner any good to, they're like, yes, we're going to make a movie based on APB over here. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I would assume that they would just divest themselves of everything that was like gaming first. and that would, to me, that includes Mortal Kombat, with potentially a then licensing deal back the other way of, yeah, go make a Mortal Kombat movie, and Warner will have the right to, they will have the rights to do that, and they will have the rights to make another Scorpion anime or whatever the hell they're doing.
You think the grid is part of this?
The grid would be part. The grid is the most important part of this.
Yes.
Grid is a sequel to the grid can only happen if Microsoft buys. If Microsoft owns NetherRealm, then maybe we will see a new The Grid.
I just wanted to see if we can make every possible reference to the grid conceivable in this one episode.
Yes.
It's worth mentioning. It sounds like Microsoft is maybe the most interested party. They did rattle off Take-Two, EA, and Activision as other potential buyers.
And I wonder, if that's just if that's potential buyers with actual interest, and presumably everyone has the conversation, right? Or is that just the list of gaming publishers that are large enough to theoretically do this,
right?
Because it's not like that's a small purchase.
Yeah, this information story starts saying Microsoft has expressed interest in acquiring the games division of Warner Brothers. So it sounds like there is some potential intent there.
I think that's a great fit right up until you start to think about what does it mean for fighting game tournaments, and suddenly,
or even just for the next Mortal Kombat release. Do they continue making MK games on PlayStation if Microsoft owns them?
It's just like Minecraft. I don't know. Yeah, maybe, but if that maybe they would be open to that.
When Microsoft bought all those small teams. And rolled out all those statements, were all those supposed to be exclusives?
No, but those were they are saying this will still come out on all the like Psychonauts 2, for example. It's yes, this will still come to PS4, but those were agreements that were already in place, and in a lot of cases pre-orders that had already been taken. Some people had already paid for games on those platforms.
Sure.
So, but going forward for brand new projects, it's harder to say.
I wouldn't think so, unless there's a damn good reason to do so, and. I mean, so that's the thing. Mortal Kombat is an Xbox exclusive. Mortal Kombat sells
a lot,
very well, very, very well. Yeah. And if you start limiting that to Xbox and PC and cutting PlayStation and Switch out of the mix, you kind of lose that point of pride, I guess, of hey, this is the best selling fighting, an incredibly. It sells astoundingly well, surprisingly well, bigger than ever type well, which I was surprised to hear. But and then you start to work at the logistical end of it, of tournament organizers only want to bring one platform to a fighting game tournament, and are all the Japanese developers making all those anime fighting games going to suddenly make them on Xbox as well? Probably not.
Yeah. Probably not.
So I feel like fighting games need to exist on the PlayStation just to make sense in that scene, don't they?
At the same time, and we'll get into
it could switch. 360 was the major platform.
We'll obviously we'll get into the Evo news in a second, but didn't MK11 get shut out of proper Evo this year?
No. Well,
not initially, online, but when they were still
Evo,
they were still planning the on location event. That was not part of the lineup, right?
Correct.
Right.
So I don't know if it's fair to MK or not, but I feel like MK has always been a little on the outside of that tournament scene to begin with.
I mean,
NetherRealms did a really good job of always supplying a fairly hefty pot bonus for their games when they were at Evo. The last 4 Evos all had it, but yeah, they do get the short shrift. Though recently, that's a little more mixed up because Capcom hasn't really been out there with strong fighting games recently either.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be a huge get for Microsoft. I think if you look at Microsoft's strategy of wanting to bolster their first party output. With some of the acquisitions they've made already, I think this fits right into that and gives them something that they don't quite have. I mean, they do have Killer Instinct, but
what are they doing with that?
I don't know.
Kind of wound down, I guess. I feel like it's been the last 2, if not 3 E3s in a row where the day before the Microsoft conference, there was some huge rumor going around, or you're not going to believe who they're buying.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some giant acquisition, Microsoft is going to buy one of the big companies. And that has never come to pass, but you feel like those rumors have got to be coming from somewhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, everyone's talking to everyone all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where those rumors come from. Is that everyone's always for sale, one way or the other. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Microsoft probably would have bought Capcom if like Monster Hunter hadn't hit so big, right?
Yeah, potentially.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, they've always shown interest. They had DMC up on the main stage.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
they like those guys.
Anyway, yeah, no real indication of like the timeline for this or when this would play out, but with all the games that Warner is said to have in development, seems like a pretty big move potentially.
Mm-hmm.